Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. What I say to the opposition view and everyone else is that if your God or gods or philosophy is greater than what it could never be greater than, which is my God, all good, all knowing, all powerful, fair to everyone, Jew and Gentile alike, have your God or gods or philosophy prove that a short, universally righteous life isn't greater than a long, wicked life. The default conclusion is that a short, universally righteous life is greater than a long, wicked life. When I say universally righteous, I mean dying for universal pinpointed moral precision, living and dying for universal pinpointed moral precision. It is universally wrong to cheat the top martial artist out of his right to lead, out of fame, out of the admiration of potential wives, out of economic, the potential for economic advancement, what have you. That's universally wrong. It's universally wrong to kill someone for no reason. To rape someone, we'll say this to keep it simple, for no reason, is universally wrong. To steal from people for no reason is universally wrong. And my God is the one true God, all good, all knowing, and all powerful. And my God never let us down. The default logical assumption is that there's an afterlife based on the patterns in nature. That there's a purpose for life and it extends into an afterlife. That there's a loving God who made life an obstacle course for the purpose of making it so that the righteous can enjoy their victory with God forever. That's the logical assumption when we see the odds that life exists in the first place, how things evolve, how they get from point A to point B to point C to point D. Okay, there has to be a certain plan, a certain process for it to come out the exact way that it came out, with love and justice and monotheistic martial arts and things that are unbelievably amazing. They couldn't possibly occur randomly. It's just unfathomably unlikely for these things to occur randomly. So the default logical assumption is that the wise man is going to know that there's a God and that his order is a Royal African Falcon martial art order, because when it comes to righteous intensity, what's more intense than monotheistic martial arts from the top martial artist ever, who's connected to the place where we all come from, Africa? The indigenous homeland for the whole human race. That is the default sound conclusion. And I'll end this video by giving you one example. If someone was to argue that gravity doesn't exist and people should, hold on to the table or hold on to the wall because they might float away, they have to prove that. The burden of proof is on them. When there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that tells us something, we should proceed as though that something is true, and have faith in that something until it's proven, if it ever is, that we should have faith in something else. And we can't just rely on scientists. They prostitute themselves to rich people and governments all the time. We have to look at the facts, and we have to take things with a grain of salt sometimes, based on the logical assumption and the sound conclusion in regards to how we should interpret the information, how we should disseminate the information. So based on the overwhelming amount of evidence, the default conclusion is there's a God. The Royal African Falcon top martial arts order is the order. After my flesh, people will not have a valid spiritual, moral, and divine order. And that I'm the top martial artist ever possible to detect breeding, cheating, and generational ill-gotten gains ruling out people in the future. Due to me saying it, someone who's a brain surgeon, someone, my brothers are not wise enough to make public arguments and to dedicate their lives to morality. Instead, they're trying to, keep their head above the water like everyone else. I've risen to the occasion. The wordplay in Black Belt, Kuro Obi means Black Belt. Obi means King, Heart, Hut, Essence Center, Temple Core, and the Son of God in Igbo. Obi in Japanese and Chinese means belt or sash, a sign of rank, just like in Igbo the king is a sign of rank. And kuro obi, cure. O is the reproductive cycle. That's not a coincidence when we consider linguistics and etymology and connect languages in a certain way. So it points to me by default, and on top of that, there's the top martial arts challenge victory that continues. If I'm compensated $100 million, if you can win, if I'm not, $100,000, pay nothing if you lose, $50 just to show. Me striking at world record speed with all my heart, with the same heart that goes beyond other people's hearts, as I'm the one insisting on these things and insisting on these truth, the way, the truth, and life. How do you establish the throne in righteousness? Proverbs 16:12, with the truth. Because to be righteous, you have to be honest. And to be humble enough to take on all the enemies of righteousness and truth when you do so. I haven't had a date in 8 years as a result. And I'm not married at 44 and a half as a result. Because I humbled myself to God to accept these negative things. The logical assumption, the sound conclusion is also that God never let us down. Here are the top martial arts ever possible. Martial arts are lifestyles. It's telling you that there's a God. He never lets you down. Your ancestors and your forefathers let you down. You let yourselves down. But God never lets you down. And it's not right to blame God. I know God never let us down. You are the ones letting yourselves down.